Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of Modern Media Review. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Goligly.
And I've been thinking about the royal family quite a lot. I often think about the royal family. What I'd always wanted to do was review their website, royal.uk, but it kind of slipped my mind until they came back into the news the other day with...
Philip.
Yeah, the Duke. And his
loose on the roads.
Loose on the roads and getting involved in what might be termed an avoidable, but was apparently unavoidable, car accident, where his vehicle, in the famous term, left the road. I love that when they say vehicles left the road. They never say someone drove it off the road, do they?
Almost as if he was driving one of Elon Musk's Tesla cars.
Yeah, it probably mistook that other motor with 3 people in it for the Horizon.
Horizon, yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe he was watching the Harry Potter film while he was doing it. There was no royal protection. He was solo. There was no royal protection officers there. I mean, can you imagine what it was like when they suddenly discovered he'd got loose and was on his own in the car? Like in the circus where you see these royal protection officers chasing the clown's car in a fire engine, you know?
Maybe the royal protection officers were strapped to the front bumper just to avoid anything really nasty happening.
Yeah, like human shields.
But the reporting of the whole thing was ludicrous as usual.
It was funny because when it first came out, it was like, oh, he'd been involved in some sort of like minor little bump, like when you bump into somebody in a car park. And as it turned out, there were 2 women and a baby in a car, one of which had a broken wrist. So it was a little bit more serious, and it just reminded me of the old Soviet era days where they had TASS, which was their official news agency, which would have reported along the lines of something very similar, I would imagine, if Leonid Brezhnev had been involved in a shunt.
Well, that's it. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like they get a TASS and Pravda style coverage from the media in Britain, both the press and the television. You never hear a bad word about them. And in the case of this crash, nothing's come of it. He hasn't had to go to court, or isn't had his collar felt, has he?
Well, it was interesting. They had a legal expert on BBC saying, well, it wouldn't really be in the national interest if he was prosecuted anyway. When I was caught with a bald tyre when I was a teenager and couldn't really afford the fine, no one let me off on the national interest. And furthermore, when I totaled my Beetle within
That's
3 months of...
Volkswagen Beetle, yeah?
My Volkswagen Beetle, yeah. Smashed it up within 2 months of passing my driving test. VW didn't come back to me the next day.
The vehicle leaves the road.
Yeah, it did leave the road quite severely.
You've got a nasty habit of doing that.
Yeah.
So VW gave you a new motor the next day?
Well, like Prince Philip got a new Land Rover the next day, yeah, VW rocked up with a brand new Beetle.
Yeah, did it have seatbelts in it?
Oh, no, they didn't.
That's the problem. That's the problem when you get these new cars. Unless you ask for seatbelts, they're not in there, and then you can't wear one.
Exactly.
Disastrous, really.
Well, I think he should sue them.
The coverage made me think a bit, because we are going to talk about the royal.uk website, where they tell you about the goings-on, and I thought they must have felt the need, despite all this fawning coverage, they must have felt the need to do something themselves and set the agenda, because they've come up with all sorts of crud. They've got this website, they've got a Twitter feed, I think they've got Instagram, although I haven't stooped to look at that yet.
Any pictures of the crash on that Instagram?
Well, I don't know. Probably just pictures of nice Dutchy Burford Browns, actually. I found that he farms them. I buy those eggs. I feel a bit complicit in the whole monarchy thing now. They're very good eggs. But, their own version, I suspected, as we're going to find out, is to try and paint a picture of themselves as doing all this great work on our behalf. I had a look. The Queen had nothing on from January the 23rd until the end of February, except like one engagement, which was...
But wasn't she at the WI, the Women's Institute, today?
Well, this is the thing. It makes me wonder. I think that was yesterday, actually. It's Friday now, Sean. The point is that if they're telling us about their future engagements on here...
That should be there, shouldn't it?
Well, you'd have thought so, but there was no mention of her going to the WI, and yet she's turned up there, unannounced on royal.uk, made an intervention in Brexit, if you read like the BBC or the Guardian, saying we should all come together and what have you, and what of the usual Christmas message type platitudes.
What about the Daily Mail?
Yeah, well, I don't know about the Mail, but on the Sky website they told you a bit more about this WI meeting, which was that Alexander Armstrong had spoken there and had told him that the Queen had won a private pointless competition at the WI, which is nice. I'm glad she won.
Well, perhaps, Robin, maybe it wasn't an official engagement. Maybe it was just they meet once a month, and maybe it was just her monthly WI meeting.
It could have been, yeah. She probably had to make the cakes or do the flyers or something this month. But anyway, as I said, she only has one official engagement on royal.uk. But before we go on to engagements, it might be worth having a look at the Twitter page, because they've got 3.86 million followers on Twitter, which sounds a lot.
On the face of it, sounds quite a lot.
It does, yeah. But I mean, Nicki Minaj has got 20.5 million, and even Piers Morgan's got 6.5 million.
Which must be humiliating for the royal family.
If they look at it, do you think they do their own tweets?
Yes.
Maybe
I think Philip's forever tweeting.
Maybe that's what he does now that he's sort of retired from official functions. He's in charge of the social media. The Twitter feed is it's really boring. I mean, I feel a bit bad about this, because when I looked at it last year, when I was first looking at this, there was some really funny stuff on it. Like they had the band of the Royal Guards playing RESPECT for Aretha Franklin's death, but there's nothing good on it at the moment. It's just like a load of stuff you really don't want to know about. You know what? Princess Di would have been great on social media. She'd been all over it.
Oh, mate.
She'd been like Kanye West or
unfiltered. Can you imagine?
Blurting out, little aphorisms and encouragements to her fans and indulging in. She'd have beef as well, wouldn't she? She would have had massive beef. There's no beef on the royal family Twitter. They're not beefing with Azalea Banks or any of these people,
At 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, they could do it straight with Nicki Minaj. I mean, her album's called Queen. They could have a right beef going there, couldn't they?
Well, there is only one queen.
Exactly. Well, apparently now too. See, I'm not that excited. I know this sounds a bit anticlimactic, but I'm not that excited about the Twitter feed.
So you've built me up about this Twitter feed, and now you're going to let me down really quite hard.
The only thing that's interesting on it right at the moment, apart from the fact that there's a load of stuff about the Countess of Wessex, you know who she is?
No, who is she?
Well, she's the wife of the Earl of Wessex. You know who he is?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
He's Prince Edward.
He's the fella that wanted to be involved in theatre, and Philip made him join the Marines, didn't he? And he had a miserable time of it.
He organised It's a Knockout, didn't he?
Yeah, what a fiasco that was.
Great larks that was.
Doesn't he normally spend time globe-trotting the world promoting real tennis?
Well, he did last year. All his engagements last year were to racket associations in North America, where he was promoting real tennis, an essential sport.
Well, I think it's a massive export drive for British industry.
But anyway, look,
have you not bought your real tennis racket yet?
I don't even know if you need a racket. Don't you kick your opponent or something? It's not like normal tennis, is it?
Well, I think you need to be... Hampton Court has a real tennis court.
Is it?
So I think you have to have your own palace to actually have a court.
Right, okay, well, I'm working my way up to that.
Well,
I'm just at the table tennis level at the moment, so I've got my own table. We've got totally off the track here. The only interesting thing in the Twitter feed, apart from the fact that they refer to the Countess of Wessex as the Countess, expecting us just to know what Countess she is that I found halfway down this thread where all these Twitter fans are thanking for updates, and someone's talking about Kate, who's the Duchess of Cambridge.
I know that one.
I said, how does she stay so slim, looking great as always and enjoying the day job? Then further down you see this picture, right? And she looks like she's been through some sort of Photoshop and she's turned into a kind of...
stick?
She's been flattened out. You know?
Oh, really?
It's like she's so unbelievably thin. I don't understand what's happened here. Most people have had a few sprogs go the other way, don't they?
Well, I think the problem is, if you're a woman and you marry into the royal family, it's like the equivalent of getting anorexia. You know?
Yeah. Well, look at Princess Di.
Exactly. I mean, if we were proper entrepreneurs, Robin, we'd somehow try and marry into the royal family, lose a tremendous amount of weight looking like some refugee from, a civil war, and if we could bottle that and sell it, we'd be millionaires.
I know, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can bottle whatever she's been on. I think maybe one of her ladies-in-waiting's just stood on her stomach and pulled that belt round. It's gruesome, this. Anyway, It's not as good as it was last year. If they'd had the band of the Welsh Guards doing Whispering Grass as a tribute to Windsor Davis' death, it would be a different matter. But they haven't got that.
Maybe we should tweet them and suggest it.
Yeah, we'll do that as soon as we finish this. Yeah. They're good at the pop tunes,
Well, it's like putting in a request, isn't it? Because, as they say on the Royal Engagements page, working for us.
No, but wait a minute, they don't, do they? It's a page. It's a page on the website that's called Working for Us, which I first thought meant them working for us, as they always say they do. But in fact, it means us working for them. It's like about how to get a job in the royal household.
Well, I mean, would you want a job in the royal? I mean, isn't it quite hard work and low paid? I mean, wouldn't you be a bit miserable?
They do point out that there are benefits such as pay and holidays.
I think that is a benefit, isn't it?
What you want in a job. But when you probably got to say that because some poor sods probably think you have to go and work there just for the privilege of it. There is
which I would do, Robin. Yeah.
Well, you'd be happy apparently because on the sidebar of the page it says 95% of the staff in a survey, doesn't say who carried out the survey, said they were feeling proud to work for the royal household. Very modern terminology. That feeling.
I wonder if it was a secret ballot.
I think it was probably. Might be a bit of a coercive ballot.
Well, it's like
compulsory.
It's like TASS, isn't it? Again, with this sort of like punting out these statistics. I mean, I'm always very worried when somebody wins an election, especially in somewhere like North Korea or somewhere like that, where they win between 95 and 99% of the popular vote. It's hardly credible, is it?
And given all the 95%, we've obviously got 5% of subversive Republicans in there and the stuff.
Who need to be rooted out, to be honest.
They do, because they're not proud to work for the Royal House.
No, and I don't think we need people like that working for us.
Must just be abstentions, though.
Or is that the Royal Us?
Again, it's all the Royal Us here, it's to confuse you. We and us and them are interchangeable. Again, right, I've got to say, because as you can tell, I researched this whole thing quite a while ago. The vacancies page last year was brilliant. It had ticket selling at Windsor Castle.
Nice.
But it also had all these jobs where you could dust their antiques.
Our antiques, you mean?
Our antiques, our paintings. Conservator of the Royal Gallery collection and stuff like that. None of that. It's all gone. All those jobs have gone, and it's just sous chefs and housekeepers.
I do like. I remember the one you telling me about the pictures, and I like that because the Queen is obviously holding them in trust for us. I thought, well, I wonder if it'd be possible. Pop round and have a look, or maybe I could hang them in my house, and then I realised that there were 8,000.
Beauticians and stuff like that. You think you could fit? I could fit a couple in here, I think.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do many. I mean, it's not a big. My place is not a big place.
Well, I've got a telly on one wall here, but the other wall, I think I could get a titian up there. If it was no bigger than, say, 4x4. The jobs are a bit dull. There's none of the statue dusting. I'm very disappointed with it. I won't be applying for any.
No, absolutely. Even though it would be a privilege.
One thing that has come up, right, which is brilliant, is that because the website, royal.uk, it's been expanding. It's got infinite scroll now. It's got so much stuff on it. And part of it is that Charles, who's obviously gearing up to be the king, has now got his own website attached to it. Prince of Wales. Interestingly, princeofwales.gov.uk.
I like that.
Suggests to me that all this stuff about him not interfering in government is a bit far-fetched. We know that he said he won't, but he's got a gov.uk website.
Gives it away a little bit, doesn't it?
It's shocking, because it's not royal.gov.uk, is it? It's just royal.uk, which is perfectly logical. That's outrageous. Anyway...
Is he busy at the moment?
Well, there's some interesting things here, apart from the fact that he farms these Butterford brown chickens, which is depressing me a lot. His own website has got everything going right back to the Pathé newsreel video of the announcement of his birth. It's got every little detail of his entire life. But amazingly, in his biog, it doesn't mention Camilla Parker Bowles at all until they get married. Now, I think he knew her before they got married. But all that happens in the biog is there's a gap. Diana gets, interred, and then there's a big gap, and then it just says he got married to Mrs. Parker Bowles in Mrs. Parker Bowles. It doesn't even give her name. It's like he just met her down in the supermarket. How you doing, Mrs. Parker Bowles?
She might have been browsing the Burford Browns or any of the Duchy of Lancaster products.
Well, because he's 70, I believe he's 70, which means he must be gagging to be king, mustn't he? Because he's going to be doubly incontinent soon, and unable to drive to his engagements without crashing into a member of the public. These facts about the prince are unbelievable. Number 20, the prince does not eat lunch. That's straight out of that film Wall Street, isn't it?
Lunch is for wimps.
The worst thing here, and these little facts that they've chucked in as jolly little incidental facts, which go back again to that thing about the fawning deference of the whole of society. He's been on Coronation Street in a cameo role. And
no way!
Yeah, apparently. And he's presented the weather forecast of the BBC.
No!
In other words, the media treat them a bit like kind of cuddly playmates that they want to cosy up to. If any of them ever did anything really horrendous, not just mowing down a member of the public, they'd still be loved, by them. You still get Nicholas Witchell smirking and saying how great they are, Anyway, I've gone on a bit too much about the Prince. I'm sorry.
No worries.
It does point out that in the year 2017 to 18, Prince and the Duchess, that's Mrs. Parker Bowles, undertook over 600 engagements in the UK and around the world. Now,
wow, that's pretty busy.
That's 2 a day. I mean, if they did them all together. But when you go to we're going on the future engagements now. We've done the Queen, she's got bugger all. Prince of Wales, if he did 600...
Well, he must be off to a flying start, surely.
Well, it's not a very good start, is it? Because he's only got 3 things to do, apparently, till the end of February. There's a nice little drop-down menu, actually, so you can just select your favourite member of the royal family. Prince of Wales, right, between now and the end of February, he's just got 3 little visits to do.
Well, don't forget, Robin...
He's never going to build up to 600 at that rate, is he?
Well, he's got to be busy working on the farm, for a start, down at Highgrove.
Collecting the eggs.
And, collecting the eggs in the morning. He's got his Duchy of Lancaster product, so he's probably having to do a good few shifts down at the factory,
Mucking out and stuff like that as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
Some humane... He probably does all his own humane killing.
Probably.
Well, that's one of his hobbies, isn't it?
Yeah, killing things is one of his hobbies. He quite likes shooting a lot of stuff.
Yeah, anything that moves, I've heard. Lamping. Does he do any lamping?
No, he'd shoot lampers.
His missus has got she's got one more thing. She's got a Stockwell Community Centre, actually.
No way.
My neck of the woods. That's...
Yeah, you should pop down and say hello.
So we've got a very poor start here, these engagements for Charles and Camilla. And then you go on to youngsters, right? Duke and Duchess of Cambridge.
Which one?
Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That's William, Kate.
Who are Sussex, then?
That's Harry.
Oh, okay.
Meghan. I don't know how they got Sussex. You never see them down there, do you?
I've not seen them at Goodwood races.
You never see the Duke and Duchess in Cambridge either. There's nothing to rule in these places, is there?
Well, the problem is, Cambridge is a long way from where they actually live, isn't it?
Where do they live?
Live in London, don't they?
Do they? Well, anyway, this lot have got nothing on at all. I mean, I know one's having a baby, isn't she? But they've got nothing specific for the whole of January and February. So I reckon if any listeners have got a fete or some sort of local thing on,
drop them a line via Twitter and they can come and open it.
They're available really to do anything sort of in our service. Anyway, you'd think these young'uns would be trying to get a bit more
busy,
stick their oar in a bit more, make themselves look good.
I don't know, I think if I could, it's not as if they're getting paid out of the public purse, is it?
Well, they are.
What?
We pay them.
What, to do nothing?
A lot of people say it's not very much, but
bloody scroungers.
A penny's a penny too much, in my view.
They need to go down to the local job centre and have an interview and maybe get the sovereign grant cut, suspended.
Get the sovereign grant. Would they get it after waiting for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
It's like heating those big houses and that, and paying all the servants. They just ain't going to get through it, are they? They're going to be down at the food bank straight away. The thing is, okay, the young ones have got... I guess they must be doing other stuff they don't put in the engagements. Night clubbing and stuff like that. Fancy dress parties. You know what the sort of thing they like.
yeah, I do, yeah.
But the Duke of York, on the other hand, he's doing nothing either. You know who he is?
Andrew.
Right?
Isn't
he's
he...
doing naff all.
Isn't he sort of off the scene a little bit?
Well, he certainly has had periods when he's had to keep a low profile. He's a bit of a Mark Thatcher type, isn't he? Again, I think he does stuff and we don't hear about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
It's not on the official engagement.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Having been originally thrilled with this constant ability to look up and see what they're doing for their money, now I'm feeling like they're all up to stuff we don't know about, which is even worse because we're paying for that as well.
As John Lydon once said, ever feel like you've been cheated?
Well, I do, at the moment, constantly. Earl of Wessex, that's the lot we were talking about. Yeah. Edward and Sophie, isn't it?
Sophie, yeah.
Countess. I just call her the Countess.
Countess, yeah.
The Wessexes have got 2 pages, and most of it's really boring, but I was quite taken by where the Countess is going on the 6th of February.
I like the way that we can now refer to them like the Countess and the Duchess, and
I prefer the formal names. I think calling them Charlie and Andy and
makes them sound it makes them sound too much like us, Robin.
I think you want someone, if you're going to have a king, right, you want him to be a proper king. Do this, do that, jump to it. That's the sort of thing you want from a king, not here's some nice vegetables, I've been chatting to them and they're in,
and they're in a happy mood, happy frame of mind.
Yeah, you don't want that. You want an authoritarian royalty.
Slightly tyrannical, possibly.
If you're going to have an institution, I think it should be brutal and authoritarian. Otherwise, what's the point? The Countess, right, is going to the Westmoreland County Agricultural Society, because they do a lot of that agricultural country stuff, don't they? I mean, they don't really get their hands dirty with engine oil. It's always cow dung, you know. But she's going, it doesn't say if she's judging, but she's going to Kendal to attend the annual silage competition.
Well, that's a must-see, isn't it? I mean, book me up now.
What exactly is silage? It's not crap, is it?
No, silage is...
you know about this sort of thing,
I
right?
do, yeah. It's wet grass that's stored in a silo, and it ferments. And it stinks to high heaven, I kid you not.
So once it's fermented, what do you drink it?
Well, originally it was for feeding cud-chewing animals during the winter, when there was no grass.
Minor members of the royal family.
Yes, exactly. Maybe sort of like...
Ruminants.
Prince Richard or one of the minor royals gets fed it during the winter.
Hey, Prince Richard's 26 in line to the throne, mate. You never know what could happen. There could be a 25-man wipeout. Precipitated by some poor driving by the Duke of Edinburgh. You could get them all in a minibus going to an agricultural show.
Going to the silage show, and sort of like the minibus might leave the road.
Well, I love this silage show, right? There's 6 different sections of silage they've got to judge, and competition is keen. It says among all those who enter.
Absolutely.
I like the way they've put that, as if a lot of competitions have loads of entrants who just aren't that bothered.
Not, but I don't. It's not about the winning; it's the taking part. A bit like the Olympics.
Silage. Once you're involved in silage, you've got to be committed to it 100%.
Well,
you can't just be slightly involved in silage.
Not the way that stuff stinks.
You've got to be immersed in it, haven't you?
That would be a form of torture. It's probably illegal.
I tell you what's even more torturous is they have the competition, they judge it for analytical and nutrient content and visual assessment, because I'm sure some silage, some will be more glamorous than others. But they've got to then wait for the judges to come and put them in a shortlist, and then the results aren't announced till the evening.
Wow, that's a long day. Do you think she'll hang around for the results? Or, you know, like sometimes when you leave a football match early, you know, leave before the results just to beat the traffic?
It depends on the quality of the silage.
I think that's true, actually, Robin, yeah.
Now, underneath them on the drop-down, the Wessexes, I'm amazed he's so far down, 'cause it's not like an age order or anything. Maybe it's an order of...
Popularity?
No. It could be
top
accession
10?
To the...
Top 20?
It must be something like accession to the throne. The Princess Royals, why is she so far down? Because she's
busy.
She's doing all the work.
Yeah, she's a worker. She's a Trojan, actually.
It's non-stop. She's got 5 pages of engagements from now till the end of February.
I hope she hasn't. I hope she hasn't checked the other people's engagements, Robin, because I'd be mightily pissed off if I looked at those other, basically layabouts doing rag all.
She must be fuming. I mean, a lot of it, obviously, is she's got to have dinner with people and go to a rugby match, but she's also got to do a lot of tedious stuff, like go to Dairy Tech 2019 in Kenilworth. It's better than the silage competition, isn't it?
Possibly.
Then she's got to go to the Institute of Meat annual awards.
I didn't even know there was an Institute of Meat.
It's something that tickles me about the Institute of Meat. The reason she's going is that this is very Masonic sounding. She is the past master of the Worshipful Company of Butchers.
I like that.
Yeah. My past master, that's an odd one, isn't it?
She's obviously fully qualified in all things meat. I remember when we looked at this before, again, she was miles ahead of everyone in terms of number of engagements.
Oh, yeah. It was outrageous. And she is again. A couple of the minor ones, and we are getting to the scrag end, if you want to... You can talk about it in Institute of Meat terms. Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. This is a guy I was saying, Prince Richard, 26 in line to the throne. He's doing a few things.
I've never even heard of him.
Prince Richard.
No, I didn't. I thought you were making up when you were talking about Prince Richard.
No, he could be king, mate.
Whose child is he?
It's all a bit complicated.
What's he up to anyway?
What's he up to?
Yeah.
King Richard. Sorry, Prince Richard.
Not yet, mate.
He's going to some church service, but people do that anyway.
That's not an engagement. If I go down to the supermarket to buy some bread and eggs, I can't really call that an engagement.
No, well that's what the Duke's up to, doing the things that we do as a matter of course.
Or when we're in the pub on Saturday, does that count as an engagement?
Well, there's nothing about going to the pub in here. The Duchess of Gloucester, she's doing the same things. They're going around together. It's quite sweet.
Well,
and then once you get past them, I mean, you really are at the underneath the bottom of the barrel here.
Well, here's just before we go on, Robin. I've got to say,
I don't know where we're going to go.
If I had a village fete and they said yes, no problem, because I guess it's like you phone up to book one of them, and it might be a bit of a lottery. You know, you might get the Queen, unlikely, and maybe Princess Anne more than likely because she seems to do everything. But
I don't know if you can just phone up and book them. I don't know if you can just phone up and book them anyway, mate.
What?
Oh, I don't even know if they've got agents or press officers.
But I would be massively hacked off if I got Richard, because you'd want to show off to the people you know, the villagers or who you're organising it for. Hey, we've got a royal coming, just you wait and see now, you know, we've got the royal on the way. And this lad turns up and no one knows who he is.
So
not even a royal. You might as well get a lookalike. You might as well get a queen lookalike.
Well, we don't know they aren't doing that, do we? We don't know they aren't all at some commune in Portugal smoking DMT, do we? You know? The whole lot. That woman who does the Queen's very convincing when I've seen her on telly.
She is, it's true.
I don't know how far we can go, probably no further than this. There's someone called Princess Alexandra, who, to her credit, although I don't want to give any of these people credit, I want to hold them to account, you know, but to her credit, she's pulling herself out to 2 engagements. One at the Sunbury Embroidery Gallery, which sounds particularly tedious.
I think I'll be there for that one.
And she's going along to an International Child Protection Dinner, which, considering that she's 82...
Fair effort.
She's 52nd in the line of succession, so she's still in with a chance if they...
Isn't that about 10 behind Danny Dyer?
Yeah, I think so. I see that he's in line for it.
He is, yeah. But I do like the fact that she's Alexandra. I mean, that's a throwback, that one. That's a proper old-fashioned name, isn't it? Because
that's why I thought, is this someone they've got in by mistake? Someone dead who's still in the list of future engagement?
Well, there was a Queen Alexandra, you know, late 19th, early 20th century, married to Edward VII.
Right.
Yeah,
was he the one with Lily Langtry?
Yeah, that was the one with Lily Langtry. And looking at her portrait, I'm not surprised he was chasing Lily Langtry, which is massively unfair of me.
But she might have been a really nice
personality. Well, you know.
But are any of them really nice personalities?
Yeah, of course.
I don't think I can talk about them anymore.
I think I've had enough.
I don't think we've held them to account, but nobody ever will they?
No, and they are very unaccountable. Anyway, have you got any engagements for this month?
Me?
See, I'm not going to bother working until maybe March, I don't think. I think I'll still get paid, though.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'm going to do the same.
I'm going to suggest it to the boss tomorrow.
I'm going to pop in for a day in mid-April, shake a few people's hands and call it a night. You know.
Go to a silage show and maybe have a bit of dinner afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I want the dinners.
Yes.
What I'll do is I'll pop into the office now and then, as long as there's dinner.
Yeah.
Or some sort of catering.
Man, I don't mind a buffet. I mean, that would suit me.
Oh, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
So we've got plenty of free time to think about what we'll do for the next podcast then.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Which hopefully will be next week.
Touch wood.
In the meantime, as always, we'd like to say, obviously you haven't got this far, but if you have, I think I might put this halfway through the next time.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
Then you could say thanks for listening and continue to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for listening. And please do visit the website, modernmediareview.com. You can listen to the podcast like this one on the site, on YouTube, on Spotify,
Facebook,
on iTunes, even on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about next week, but I'm sure it'll be equally entertaining
and riveting.
Yeah, riveting.
And something you'd want to share, probably, repeatedly.
Yeah, share it repeatedly. And anyway, that's all the asking of favours we can do. So we'll just try and say a very regal good night. I'm waving my arm in that way now.
I know, me too. I'm mirroring you. Cheers,
good
all.
Good night, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.